Welcome to West Coast Grandma. Well, today I'm going to do a garden tour. So I'm Elizabeth and I live in Zone 8A on Vancouver Island, BC, Canada. And before I start, look how coordinated I am. My last video, I was in my work clothes and I felt kind of bad after I totally had forgotten what I was wearing. So I tried to dress up a little bit more for my video today. So we are going to head to the greenhouse and up to my garden, and I'm just going to show you what's growing. Quite a bit actually, although the temperatures are still dropping down to 4 and 5 at night. So too cold to plant those zucchinis or the tomatoes. Way too cold for beans or corn or anything, but the colder season vegetables are all doing fine. So we are going to head to the greenhouse and I'm going to show you all my tomato plants. On the way, I'm just showing you all my pots here. I've been planting seeds. I haven't bought anything this year. The marigolds, everything is all things that I've planted. Even this helleborus here reseeded. Everything is just reseeded in the garden, and I am not buying anything from the garden center, so I'm kind of happy about that. Okay, let's take a little walk to the greenhouse. Yes, there's all my sword ferns. See how good they're doing now that they're all unrolling? It's only been a couple of weeks since I trimmed them. I did do a video on that, so if you're ever wondering about pruning sword ferns, check out my video. Anyways, here we come. Anyway, here we are. Okay, let's go in here and check this out. Alrighty, I'll just give you a little tour in my greenhouse. These are all tomatoes, and these are San Marzano. They are an Italian Roma tomato. I am so excited about these. I've got a couple of varieties of Italian Roma tomatoes that I'm pretty excited to be growing because they're, well, for one thing, the seeds were, what was it, $10.99 for 10 seeds. The other one is these ones in the back here, Pisano. Those were the expensive ones. So I'm really excited to have some Italian Roma tomatoes. So here we have just a numerous varieties: Sunrise Bumblebee cherry tomatoes, Brandywine, Dr. Witchy's orange. There's just all kinds. Paul Robeson. What else can I just glance at here? Big Rainbow, all those ones that I've been growing, they're all coming up beautifully. So my friend and I over at Flatlanders Farm, we're having a plant sale on the 15th of May. So that's going to be kind of fun. So here we just have some flowers that I'm going to put up in my garden. But in the back there we have cilantro, and tonight I'm making salad rolls because we have our own prawns. And I have the lettuce and the cilantro, so I'm going to make salad rolls with peanut sauce. It'll be delicious. So there is some Swiss chard, and this is my lettuce that I'm pretty well going to have to get out of here pretty soon. It's getting too warm. This is all my squash, my zucchini, pumpkins that are all ready to go out, butternut squash. They're going to be going out probably within the next week or so. It has been kind of cold. I think it really shouldn't get below 10 at night before they go in, but we'll see. A few flowers here, some zinnias, California daisies that I planted. These are Japanese black truffle tomatoes. And in the back there, those are my loofahs. So something I'm pretty excited about. I'm just looking though, it looks like they're getting a little sunburned. So I'm going to have to maybe move those out of here. I just brought them out yesterday, and a whole bunch of basil that I'm going to plant. Okay, so coming around the corner here, there's all my leeks. I have to get those in, and a bunch more tomatoes, and a lot more tomatoes over here. No end to the tomatoes. And this whole section here is all peppers. And I think I probably have maybe 15 different varieties. Poblanos. I have some sweet peppers and some spicy. Craig's Grande, Big Jim jalapenos. But my main thing this year is I'm growing paprika peppers. And they are a sweeter pepper, but we're going to smoke them again. And I'm going to make my own smoked paprika because the paprika I made last year was so delicious. So that's kind of one of my key things for this year. So a bit more lettuce, more tomatoes, and a few more squash to go outside, and just a few marigolds I'm going to plant. So that's pretty well the extent of my greenhouse. Oh, hi, Riker. We're going to head on up to the garden. And I'm on my way up to the garden, and you can see that all the apple trees, the two of them, they've been in bloom, and it's just beautiful. And my Japanese maples are all opened up. So the whole backyard is just getting kind of nice, kind of summer vibe, where we can come and sit out on our fire pit. I know right now you can see we have our power washer. We've just been getting everything power washed and cleaned up. On the west coast here, we don't get enough cold weather to get rid of all that mildewy black that gets on everything every winter. So you always have to take those couple of days and power wash everything. So that's what we're doing. Another note with our apple trees, we do get tent caterpillars, and we're always on the lookout for a tent caterpillar on there, and this is what it looks like. They're not nice things. They form like a web or like a netting all around, and it's loaded with little worms, and the only way you can get rid of those is to cut them out and burn them, basically. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a fire later. We have a couple of branches that we saw infested, and we are going to burn them. But kind of sad, but they will destroy the tree. So let's head on up. That's a cherry tree up there. Oh, and I'll just show you all my blueberries. There's so many flowers. I think we're going to get such a good blueberry harvest this year. Look at that. There's a lot of blueberries. They're just covered in flowers, and I have more up in the garden, so it's good. We're gonna have a lot. So let's go around and let's head up to the garden here. Alrighty, here we are at my garden. Well, let's go in and check this out. Yeah, I'll start at one side. So as we come in, these are where I've planted. I've had a variety of cabbages, broccoli, and cauliflower. And these are all the cabbages, all the way along in that little bed. We're just setting up an irrigation system. I've still got to work on this with some soaker hoses and some oscillating sprinklers and a few things to try to cover our whole garden, because we're going to be going away for a few days, and our garden is difficult to water because it's a pie shape and always something is left out. This is my, we call it our marshmallow greenhouse. It's where we keep all the peppers. So I put them all in there. Right now I just had some lettuce in there that was just keeping us in some greens for the winter. And we're going to come around here. That far bed at the back there, I have peas planted, and 3 rows across the front are all onions. The onions are storage onions, just plain old eating onions, red onions. There's quite a few in there, so that's going to be a good thing. I have some fabric here. We're trying to put some wood chips down in the garden to keep the weeds down, so that's an ongoing process. And those are my 2 bags of straw, which are going to go on the beds as soon as I get my tomatoes in. It really does work to keep down the weeds. In this little bed, we have celery. That celery is doing great. I planted it out here maybe a month ago, and it's doing pretty good. And the Swiss chard has been in for a while, so I started all that from seed. And here we have a bed that's full of spinach that's all coming up, you can see. And in the middle, we have parsnips starting. And over on the far side, we have beets that are just starting to poke their head through, so that's going to be good. I love beets. Here and behind is my compost piles. The one covered in black is the one that we're just going to let sit now. The new one is this one right here, and the only reason we have a tarp on there, well, I'm actually not sure. My husband just put that on. I'll be taking it off. Anyways, that's our one that we're using right now. And right in behind that little pile there, that is my leftover old compost, and that is where I plant my pumpkins, because pumpkins are heavy feeders. They love to be planted in compost. So every year I just leave a little bit of compost from my pile that I'm using, and I plant my pumpkins, and they've got all this space. They can grow up around everything and it doesn't matter. Alrighty, so we're gonna head down here. Back to the gate, and this little entrance here just has some chamomile, oregano, some foxglove coming up there, and just a few little things like flowers. I throw seeds in there. Some herbs, thyme. This is my mint. Spearmint and the peppermint are my two favorite mints. And I grow all those because I make tea for the whole winter. Holy basil, the mints, and I also have Korean mint, and that's the one that I'm excited about. It's a new one this year, and it is licorice, so I'm really excited about that. Here we have just some little pak choys, baby ones coming up there. A hydrangea. And this is my long bed. If you remember from last year, this is where I plant all my tomatoes. Right now we have all the green onions at this end, and more just regular eating onions. And all the way down here I will be planting my tomatoes. And if you can see on this fence, see all these little, those are all the tomato clips. They are the best thing. As the stems come up the fence, I just clip them to the fence. It's the best. They seem to really do well. So moving along, there we are with the Korean mint. I'm excited about that one. And my asparagus is starting to dwindle a bit. Yeah, there's the peppermint. And some more cilantro, and I had a couple of potatoes left from my potato planting, and I popped them into there, so they'll be coming up soon. Yeah, and this is my strawberries. Look at all the flowers. My grandkids are going to love to come up here because they know exactly where the strawberries are. This bed in behind is going to be corn, so there's nothing in there at the moment. I just had some grass on there to try to keep the weeds down. And again, this is more cabbages. I have also got a bunch of cauliflower because this year I froze cauliflower and it was delicious. So this year I'm really going to try to preserve some for the winter. This is my black currant bush. Like, can you believe that? It is doing so well. And I transplanted it. It used to be along the fence, and it was really in the way, and it was covered in flowers here a week ago too, so that's going to be great. So I'll move over here, and at the back end here we have more peas. These are sugar snap peas. Actually, those are all ones I kept from seed. And on either side I planted carrots, which I'm going to come back and water in a few minutes, because if you know carrots, they need to be kept moist. I've never had luck with putting a board over top. I just try to really keep them watered. So this was my potato patch that I showed in my last video on planting potatoes, so they'll be coming up soon. And a little herb patch. And of course my rhubarb. Everything is growing like crazy, so don't mind the weeds. And this is another blueberry bush, and there's a couple more, and look at the flowers on them. There is a lot of flowers. That, and there's some bees on there. So this one is kale on one half, and the other half here is the carrots. There I have my garlic. And one thing I do have, this is perennial basil, and it's not quite as strong as your regular basil, but it tastes pretty good. Like for pizza or whatever, I found it really good. And it's a perennial, so it's nice to have perennial plants. There's my chives. That's just a patch of raspberries that I started again last year, so hopefully they'll do well. And that's almost it. There's broccoli in there. We'll get out of the sun here. Now, I have a couple of cattle panels. This first one here is going to be Blue Lake pole beans. They're our favorite, and I'll be planting those probably towards the end of May. the other cattle panel, this year I'm going to try cucumbers because I thought they can grow and hang down through the cattle panel. So anyway, so that's my garden for this year. I think it's doing great. I did try to cut back. I don't know if I really have, considering I have 400 tomato plants, but that's the way it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this garden tour, and I hope that you've got a couple of ideas about what you might want to grow, especially if you live anywhere in the Pacific Northwest. Like I said, this is Vancouver Island. Where we are, I figure, is zone 8A. So we're pretty lucky here. We have a pretty good growing season. So hope you will try to get out there and get your vegetables planted and your flowers planted, and hope you've enjoyed this video. West Coast Grandma is signing out.